Hello and welcome back to the Oklahoma Venture Forum podcast. Today I'm joined by Aaron Webster from Cameron Ventures. We're going to talk about the venture capital panel that we have coming up in April for the Oklahoma Venture Forum lunch and regular meeting. First of all, good to see you today, Aaron.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Kyle.
Thanks for being on the show and talking a little bit about venture capital, venture capitalists, VCs, and what they do, what people can expect, etc. So right off the bat, tell us what Cameron Ventures is and what you guys do.
Yeah, so Cameron Ventures is an early stage venture capital firm. We're what's called a vertical firm, and we focus in on certain verticals. So we really like anything around financial services. So fintech, insurtech, a lot of enterprise technologies. We're really looking for founders at the earliest stages where they typically have a product, generating some revenue, starting to get some traction. And
so you're post MVP, you're into actual developed product.
Yeah, typically that's where we like to see our first check start to come in. Typically the first institutional round. That's just a real good fit for us in the market. But we're looking for those founding teams that are creating some sort of new process to change the way financial services is being delivered, versus what it is today.
Right. A little bit of differentiation, something new, kind of.
Oh, absolutely.
Cutting edge.
We're looking for disruptors and we're looking for enablers, right? Financial services, especially like insurance, has been around for a long period of time.
Right.
They're stayed in their ways, and so we feel like that's a great place to have disruption. It's a classic fit for venture capital investment.
Is there a size deal that you guys prefer?
Yeah, our published sizes are $250,000 to $2 million. Yep. It depends on the stage. We start in the pre-seed to seed area, and that's going to be our smaller check. The bigger checks typically are later stage. You have to show that additional traction, and we like to see a lot of that user growth coming along with those additional check sizes.
So you'll do early and you'll come in second, third rounds of Bs.
Yeah,
and
sometimes we have done some Bs and Cs. It's not typical for us. We typically like to do the seed and Series A. That's where the economics are the best. That's where you get to, I like best because I get to work with the founders and get closer to them and help them, kind of refine their initial product. So.
For Cameron specifically, how many people you guys have employed there? How long you been around, et cetera?
Yeah, so we have about 4 people on our team. We started in 2018. We have 2 people that are totally dedicated and a couple people that are part-time. So we run a very, very lean staff. We're probably going to be adding some people shortly, but we have people here in the Oklahoma City area. We have a guy out in San Francisco, and then we're expanding out to the East Coast as well.
How many deals do you typically see in a year?
Yeah. So actual deals coming in, we typically see about 1,000 a year is typically what we want to try to get through to hit our number. Our investment target is typically 4 to 6 a year. So we're going through a lot of deals.
That's a huge funnel, right?
Yeah.
You're going from 1,000 to 6. Briefly talk us through how that process happened, because that has to happen in multiple ways, right?
Yeah, so we have a deal database. We have a place to collect deals on our website, but really it comes down to thematic work that we've done. So we have the themes that we want to invest in essentially up front, unless we come across a theme that just we didn't think of and we're just wowed by what someone has come up with. So we have some areas of focus, and typically what it is, a lot of the rejections that we have are the fact that they're just not a fit for what we're interested in, and we say that in our rejection message to them. It's like, hey, we're vertically focused. If you're focused in this consumer company, that's just not a fit for us. You're better off looking for someone that really knows the problem that you're trying to solve and is a really good fit for you. So it's better for everybody.
Because that's how people think about venture capital, and they obviously they focus on the capital, they focus on the infusion of cash, but really you're building relationships, right? You're bringing a lot of aspects to the business relationship, not just money.
Oh, absolutely. So we view it as we're becoming a partner with that founding team, and we start at those earliest stages. So we expect to be around with them for 5 to 7 years. If we're really lucky, we get out, in 3. But I would say that's kind of the edge case, and not normally what happens with a business, because it does take a long time whenever you're trying to solve hard problems in the software space. So yeah, I would say that's how we approach it.
So if you see 1,000 deals a year, how many you have in the pipeline right now that you feel decent about? you think might move on to something?
So as far as we have a couple different statuses. We have like actively tracking and passively tracking. I would say just kind of off the top of my head, we probably have about 300 that we're passively tracking and about 30 that we're actively tracking. And we've got about 5 sitting right there on the edge.
30 actively, and eventually 3 or 4 might make. So so the math is always, and that's the name of the game, right? Is you have to look as much as possible and then really find not just a fit, but a fit like a glove, like exact perfect fit, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the founders talk about having to take 100 meetings to get their first investors, and especially if they're a first-time founder, that's exactly what they have to do. If they've been a successful founder before, that process is a whole lot quicker. They typically go back to the same capital providers or the same network that they were successful with before. But I would say if I had some advice to founders, that's the biggest advice, is to find that fit, find the person or the capital provider that knows and understands the problem that you're trying to solve, and they can help you along the way. So we have the ability, actually, since we have a little bit of a strategic angle with some of the things that we do. We have the ability to work with several industry executives and bring that knowledge base to the founders, and then also potentially be a first customer for those companies. And those are the kind of opportunities that excite us.
Which makes a lot of sense, right? When you can invest in something that you're actually using and participating in actively.
Yes, we're actually doing that with several of our portfolio companies right now.
That's a best case scenario, I think. I think for both parties. I think for the investor and for the business. Yeah,
for the founders, if you can get early logos and big logos, that really helps on the fundraising trail.
So you see 1,000 offers a year. What's the most common mistake that will get you kicked out off the pile real quickly? And what's that thing that really makes you want to know more?
I would say just knowing what the investor invests in. The fact that we have it explicitly stated on our website what we invest in, and we get all these random deal proposals and pitch decks that come in, they're just not a fit for us. I mean, we're really not going to spend any time with it. We're not going to look at them. People don't understand how the time is consumed with somebody that is in a investment making role. I mean, you have to go through tons and tons of deals, and you just don't have that much time in the day, especially when you're trying to handle fundraising and operations and that sort of thing. And so you really have to target your pitch to the correct investor set. And even if you're going to a generalist fund, you need to find that specific partner that focuses in your area, because a lot of them will focus in different spaces.
Right. So how are your funds built? Is it your money? Are you limited partner? What's the makeup?
So we are very different than most groups out there. To put it simply, you could think of us as a single LP fund or a single limited partner fund. So our money all comes from one location. Okay, we are basically backed by the Cameron family. The Cameron family owns several financial services companies, and you can think of us in 3 different ways. So you can think of us as a strategic. A lot of people like to put us in the CVC bucket or the corporate venture capital bucket. We do some of that because we have some strategic work. But then you can also think of us a little bit as a family office, because it is a single LP kind of sourcing there, and we have specific concentrated interests on what we want to find. And then you can also, I like to think of us mostly as just a normal seed fund that's just happens to be vertically focused in a specific space. So we're set up and we operate separate from our operating companies, but we do work with them in some ways. But we don't report to them, and we are able to make investment decisions apart from them. And actually, a lot of times what we'll do is make investment decisions in front of them, because traditional businesses typically aren't ready to make the move on some of these disruptive ideas that are happening in the startup space today.
But that's where the unicorns come from, right?
Yeah, you hope.
Occasionally, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about you a little bit.
Okay.
So you have your BBA and MBA from OU, correct?
Yep, I do. Yeah.
For those of you people out there who don't know, what's a BBA?
It's a Bachelor's of Business Administration.
Yeah. And then, of course, that leads right into the MBA.
Yeah. You go out and work for a couple of years and then go back to B school.
So there you go. So how early in life did you think that maybe this was the track that you wanted to go down as a career?
I had a kind of a little bit of a winding path. So I actually got my first exposure to startup life and kind of being a co-founder whenever I was in undergrad, actually. So I was actually trying to help one of my college friends build a company back during the .com, or what I refer to as the .bomb days.
Oh, right.
Because we were on
the .com before the .bomb, right?
We were on the tail end of it. And so I got exposure to that. I really like the strategic nature of, what you do as a founding team and how you're looking at markets and develop things. So I did that, and then I got, I say I have a winding path. I got into development for a while, so I was a software developer for a while. So I was actually helping build InsurTech products before InsurTech was actually a thing. So I spent several years doing that as a coder. And then I got into the investments realm, and so I was in the bond markets for several years. And this opportunity just opened up a few years ago to actually open up this new area of our venture capital operations. And so I jumped in with both feet, and here we are.
So it's a different combination of different kind of technical aspects and skills that kind of combine together with a little bit of experience, and here you are.
Yeah, it's actually a blend of all my background. So.
And how about the backgrounds of the other folks in the firm?
Yeah, so we have an associate out in San Francisco. His name's Robert Wesley. He came from FT Partners, which for those who know the fintech space, know FT Partners very well. There's a boutique investment bank out there. And so he had been working on some of the later stage InsurTech deals, doing some market mapping and some different things out there. So very good asset to the team. And he's actually leading our sourcing out on the West Coast and hunting down names for us out there.
How many, over the past 5 years, how many companies have you invested in that were Oklahoma-based, and how many were outside of Oklahoma?
We have none that are Oklahoma-based.
We need to do better with that.
Yeah, I know. I kind of feel bad about that. We try to help out the community.
We need to find you. So we need to find you a better option.
We try to support as many programs as we can here in the area.
Cameron's a great partner of Oklahoma Venture Forum. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're a supporter of the G Beta program locally here.
Right.
We try to do as much as we can with Oklahoma Venture Forum, which is why I'm here. So, but as far as investment, since we're vertically focused, thematic focus, we're focused in on the team and the idea. Right. That's really what we focus in on. If they happen to be here, that's great. We've invested in Texas, is probably the closest that we've invested here. We've invested a couple times in Canada, a couple times in Boston. So it's really not centric at all.
Right.
It's really around the theme, really about the team, and we got to really get excited about the problem that they're solving.
So since you don't have to give me specifics because you're not invested in Oklahoma companies, but you are participating a lot in the entrepreneurial space, in the business development space, obviously just the economic ecosphere of Oklahoma.
Yep.
What do you think is going well right now? What do you think we need to continue to work on and improve?
I think we have a lot of different things happening. What we see going on in Tulsa, what we see going on in Oklahoma City. I think each group is kind of doing their own thing in building good programs. So that's what I think is going well, is the fact that you see all this activity happening here, which it's been dormant for quite a while. And
a lot of activity that's not oil and gas.
Right.
That's still there, but we are finally kind of breaking out of those molds.
Well,
right?
I think a beautiful thing that we could do here is crossing over the ag and energy and venture.
Right.
Some of the groups are already doing that, and I think you take your edge or your domain expertise, and then you put capital towards that. That's where you win. So I think we can do both at the same time and build a good basis for letting the people in the market know and understand what it needs to be done to make this thing successful here.
Right. Understanding, information, connection, opportunity, it all goes together, right, to create something that has potential to stand itself up.
Yep.
Like any business scenario, right?
I mean, historically, we've known how to do oil deals, and we've known how to do real estate deals. Venture's a little bit different kind of animal. So, and you have to understand how it's really done. And
of the three venture capitals we had on the first panel a couple of months ago, and then we have three that we're focused on this month with yourself, Justin, and Wilson from I2E, and Kevin Moore.
Yep.
All very different formats of how they bring money in, how they disperse it out, how they invest, et cetera, right? So even the idea of working with venture capital, there's so much variety in ways it can be done and could be done.
That's where investor fit matters.
Right. And combinations and partnerships.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about community. I know you're involved in United Way and Allied Arts. Talk about being involved in reinvesting in your community, whether it's time, money, or other things, and how that affects good quality of life, which affects business, which is kind of a cycle of success and benefit?
I just think it's just, kind of a part of who I am. I try to get out and do as many philanthropic things as I could over my career. I just think that, whenever you get out there and you do those things, you meet new and different people, you make different connections. And it's all about building the community here. I tell you, I spend a lot of time on planes, going other places, seeing other communities. And I will admit that whenever I got out of school, I wanted to go to another market, like one of the coasts, and look at that. And now, since I've spent a lot of time on those different coastal markets, I look and I see what we have here, and I appreciate what we have here. I tell people all the time, like, well, we have that. Right. We have that. Right. Oh, by the way, it doesn't cost that much.
Oh, so. And we don't have that traffic. We don't have that. We don't have
traffic,
that weather. Right.
Traffic is big.
It's always traffic. I was the same way in a previous career. I traveled a lot. Yeah. And, people always like, why do you stay there? I'm like, well, traveling makes it easy to kind of see everything. But
we need more direct flights out of here. That's the only issue. So,
we had them before
if
COVID.
Oklahoma City's listening.
Man, we had them before COVID. They're slowly coming back. But yes, I think
my
you're
United
right.
flight to San Francisco got terminated. So I'm very disappointed in that.
Yeah, my direct flight to DC, we had 3 a day. Now we're down to 1 a day, and it's a red eye. So it's like, oh, crap. What's your piece of advice? We end every podcast with asking this question. What advice would you have for Oklahoma-based entrepreneurs, whether they have an idea, they're in the startup phase, they're at MVP phase, or they're looking for VC or other partnerships? What advice would you give them on how to be successful starting, running, and managing a business in Oklahoma?
Oh, man. Have a good product, have a good idea, have a good team, have the technical ability, at least in the software space, to execute on that, have good vision, network. You will, if you have a good founder ecosystem or a good founder network that you can build off of, they can save you a lot of time, save you a lot of heartache, give you a lot of good ideas, put a lot of good tools in front of you to make you not have so many missteps along the way. We try to participate in some of the mentoring programs to help out with founders and maybe help them with potential fundraising mistakes, or say, here's some options that you can look at from a fundraising perspective. So really that's it, is good network around you, good mentors, that kind of thing.
Very nice. And one way to network, Oklahoma Venture Forum. As a great segue to our conclusion here. Yeah. So thank you very much, Aaron, for being here. Aaron Webster, Managing Director, Cameron Ventures, 1/3 of our VC panel, our second VC panel for the year, coming up here in April. And then in May, we'll have the awards, yep. the annual awards. We'll see who our Venture of the Year is, and Economic Impact, and New Business of the Year. So it should be interesting. Thanks for having a conversation with me today, and thanks for participating on the panel for Oklahoma Venture Forum.
Awesome.
Thanks.
All right.